If you want to have success on eBay or Amazon, one of the biggest keys is listing your items. Why? Because the more you list, typically the more you're going to sell, considering the items are profitable and they have a good market demand. So what should you do if you aren't motivated, if you're in a slump? Because we've all been there, right? We've gotten hooked. We're like drug addicts. We're so hooked to sourcing, going to thrift stores and garage sales. But then when it comes down to actually putting in the hard work of, processing that death pile and listing it and doing all the stuff necessary to get it to market, it's like we drop the ball sometimes. So what should you do? Well, the number one thing that I would recommend doing is spending some time by yourself thinking and ask yourself questions. Ask yourself a question like, how would my life change if my business doubled? How would my life change if I went from 300 to 500 listings and I was selling $4,000 a month? How would my life change if I had an extra $2,000? And really start to think about and envision what it would be like if you were able to travel, or if you were able to have more free time, or you were able to spend time with your friends or your family, or maybe you have an extra couple $100s of disposable income to give to your mother who just retired. How nice it would be to see that smile on her face, to not have to hear her complain or be stressed out, right? I don't know what that is for you, but the biggest thing, guys, to finding motivation is to get deep within yourself in terms of your internal motivation. What really drives you? What really gets you excited? And then once you find out that reason, you gotta write it down, you gotta repeat it, you gotta say it to yourself, you gotta envision it, you gotta think about it. And that's gonna get you moving. That's gonna get you, doing the things that you need to do when you don't feel like it. Another important thing to remember too is when something's at rest, when you stop doing something and you stop listing and a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, it's really hard to get moving again. When something is at rest, it takes so much effort. It's like a rocket ship going off the ground. There's so much energy that is needed to get a rocket ship off the ground, but once it starts moving, it almost seems easy. It seems like, wow, like this is nothing. And I don't know if that's the greatest example, but have you ever been in a situation where you're just on fire, like you've been listing everything for like weeks, months at a time, you're having all the success, and then you think back to when you were like in a slump for a month and you're like, what was wrong with me? Or like maybe you're eating really healthy for the last 2 months and you're losing weight and you're fit and you're like, why was I so hooked to ice cream? Like, why didn't I just exercise? It's so easy. The thing is, when you're creating good habits and you're moving and you're executing, it's easy to keep going when you're moving. But when you're at rest and you're not doing anything and you're being lazy, it's so hard to get your butt off the ground. So you've got to create that habit. You've got to create that routine. So once you find that driving force, that motivation, what gets me excited, what gets me pumped up? Number two, you've got to go through that tough period. There's going to be a really tough period right around here. If you think about this as the whole spectrum of starting to having success, right here, that first beginning part, it's gonna be so hard to, like, when you first go into your studio to like start taking pictures, to start listing, you're gonna be watching the clock like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. You're gonna be like, this sucks so bad. But guess what? If you do that the first day, and then the second day, and then the third day, it's gonna suck, and then it's gonna suck a little less, and then it's gonna kinda suck, and then it's gonna be like, kinda sucky, but a little bit of fun, and then it's gonna shift over to wow. Like, this is actually not too bad because I'm starting to see results, and you get excited. And then maybe you start thinking, wow, I'm having all these results. Why don't I start getting smart here? And why don't I hire someone to help me with like the cleaning and prepping, or someone to hire to help measure, or someone to photograph. And now you start to free up your time. You're going out sourcing more and you're enjoying your life. I mean, so those are a couple of things I just wanted to mention, guys. If you're not motivated, find that number one reason why and get your butt moving.